settle me down because I think I talk too much sometimes. I know I have a lot of trades. Like, I'm a jack of all trades and I'm good at all of them.
Looking for a real man.
To be the father to my son.
I'm a youthful 32.
No. No!
Honey, we have mans.
Ants?
Mans.
How is Doritos made? Alright, imagine this. You're at a party and someone opens a bag of Doritos. That smell hits your nose, that cheesy, slightly spicy scent that you know is going to lead to a mouthful of crunchy goodness. If you reach in, grab a chip, and just as it hits your tongue, the flavors explode. But have you ever wondered how these addictive snacks are actually made? Well, today we are going to take a deep plunge into exactly how Doritos go from simple corn to that chip which one cannot resist. Before getting to how they are made, let's see a little on where Doritos actually came from. The invention of the Doritos took place during the 1960s by an already popular company then, Frito-Lay, for its other snack food items, which comprised Lay's potato chips and Cheetos. The actual meaning of the name Doritos is little golden things in Spanish, which just about fits the bill. Believe it or not, Doritos actually got their start at a restaurant. There was a restaurant serving extra tortillas by frying and seasoning them into chips. It turned out that people wanted these chips so much that Frito-Lay decided to take the idea and create this snack, and voila, you have Doritos. So let's get into the making. First on the ingredient list for Doritos is corn, but it's not just any corn. The type of corn used in Doritos to make the chips is called field corn, different from the sweet corn you might eat on the cob. Field corn is harder and contains more starch, which makes it ideal for its transformation into chips. Cleaning the kernels of dirt and other particles is the first step. Then it undergoes what is called nixtamalization. That is a fancy word for boiling the corn in water mixed with lime, the mineral, not the fruit. The nixtamalization serves to soften the grain and easily make it into dough. It also gives a special flavor, and the seasoning absorbed later becomes more attached to the corn. The next process after the corn has undergone nixtamalization is to reduce the grain to dough. At this stage, the dough product is what is generally called masa, which is a thick traditional dough used in most Mexican foods like tortillas and tamales. To make the masa, the water-soaked kernels of corn get ground into a fine, thick paste. This paste is mixed with water to get the dough. It's all in the consistency of the masa. If it gets too wet, the chips have no shape. If it's too dry, it's hard. So it's watched closely for that magic moment. Once the masa is prepared, it is now time to give the chips their shape. Thin sheets of dough are passed through a rolling machine where the sheets then get cut down into triangles, prospective Doritos chips. The size and thickness of these triangles are related to how the chips will cook and will affect how crispy they will be. These triangles of dough then enter a conveyor belt which conveys them through successive stages, but they are still a far cry from being served piping hot. Now comes the cooking part. Triangles of dough are deep fried in hot oil to give them that crispy texture that we all love. All things have to be just right to get that perfect crunch in Doritos. When the triangles of dough enter the fryer, they are placed into a depth of hot oil heated to a certain temperature, usually up to 350 to 375 degrees under zero or about 175 to 190 degrees above zero. This temperature is important for a couple of reasons. First, when the dough hits the hot oil, heat instantly turns the water inside it into steam. This immediate evaporation of water forms those little bubbles that you always see on the surface of Doritos. These bubbles are important as they create some air pockets within the chip and give it that light, crispy texture. This is followed by the gelatinization of the starches in the corn by heat. The gelatinization involves the absorption of water and swelling, hence soft and flexible starch granules. In the case of Doritos, this helps firm up the dough so that it holds its shape while frying. In the case of chips, the starches then harden, giving structure and crunch to the chip. Temperature is the key factor for the oil. Should the oil be too hot, the chips cook too fast on the outside before the inside can be cooked enough, thus turning out hard, or sometimes even burnt on the outside and still doughy on the inside. If the oil is too cold, the chips take quite a while to fry. Due to the longer frying time, more oil enters the chips, making it much greasier and less crispy. To prevent these issues, great attention is paid to the oil's temperature and the duration the chips remain in the fryer. The chips are in the fryer for approximately 30 to 60 seconds based on their thickness and precisely how hot the grease happens to be. Within those brief seconds, the chips will have done the magic trick of changing from soft, doughy triangles of tortilla mixture to crunchy golden Doritos, which we are familiar with. After being fried, the chips immediately get a quick removal from the oil onto a draining conveyor belt. This is important because the chips need to get rid of excess oil. If too much oil happens to be on the chips, they will turn out to be greasy and probably lose crispiness over time. Because the chips are cooling, residual heat finishes off the cooking, which continues to firm them. By the time they get to the next stage in production, chips have just that right crunch that makes Doritos a satisfying snack. Once the chips are fried, the chips then go into a seasoning process that includes pouring your usual crisps into a huge mixing bowl and tumbling it. Now comes the magic. Doritos are well known for their huge tastes and bold flavors added at this stage. Large drums tumble the chips in special seasonings. Each flavor of Doritos has a specific mix of cheese powder, garlic, onion, paprika, and spices. Most notably, the very popular flavor nacho cheese has just a mix to give it that unmistakably cheesy taste with a kick. The seasoning is then applied all over in such a manner that it covers every chip evenly. This is something very important because, frankly speaking, no one wants to have a chip with less flavor. Quality control is considerably more than just a casual glance at the chips. It involves an integral process of maintaining uniformity in each batch. In order to achieve this goal, a number of quality checks are implemented along the production line. One of the initial checks included is a visual check. Workers or automated systems scan the chips moving on the conveyor belt. They are looking for those chips that do not meet the standard regarding color and shape. Example: chips that are too dark usually mean they have been frying for longer than they should. These chips tend to taste burnt or develop a certain kind of undesirable bitterness. On the other hand, chips that are too light may mean they are not in the fryer for as long and can be softer, lacking the much desired crunch. The ideal Dorito is golden but uniform, the color that indicates it has been cooked just right. The triangular shape of Doritos is iconic, but during the process of cutting or frying, some chips may become misshapen or broken. Chips that are grossly too small, much too large, or otherwise irregular shaped are normally removed. Another critical factor is the texture, which needs to strike a perfect balance between light and crunchy. It could be done by feel or through any mechanical testing where the chip has to bear a certain amount of pressure to test its crunchiness. Flavor is probably the most relevant quality control factor. The reason why Doritos are famous is because of their bold and intense flavors. All chips should taste exactly the same. To satisfy this, several chips are sampled for flavor testing. This might involve both human tasters and automated systems. The chips then undergo a final check before packaging. This involves a check that each bag contains the amount of chips it should, which would be a visual check in weight. Any overweight or underweight bags are noted and adjusted before being sealed. It's not just part of the process. Quality control is a commitment to being able to provide the consumer with a product they can trust and enjoy, bag after bag. At this point, after quality control has been passed, chips are supposed to be ready for packaging. Chips are measured out by weight in bags to ensure that the correct amount of chips is in each bag. After that, the bags are sealed to keep the chips fresh, which also serves to protect them from moisture and air, as that would make them stale. Also, the packaging is designed to attract your attention using bright colors on the Dorito bags, often come with bold graphics to tempt customers. Then the bags are boxed up, shipped to stores worldwide, ready for you to grab off the shelf. Thus, this is the journey of a Dorito from the cornfield to the snack bowl. It includes very interesting processes entailing the aspects of science, creativity, and a lot of hard work. The next time one reaches for a handful of Doritos, one may appreciate what goes into crafting each chip to taste as great as possible. Whether one is a fan of the classic nacho cheese or prefers any one of the many other flavors, there is no denying how much Doritos have become a snack favorite around the world. So go ahead, open that bag and enjoy the crunch now that you know exactly how it's made. And if you enjoyed this video on how Doritos are made, please like and subscribe for more tours of your favorite foods. What other snacks would you like to see? Let us know in the comments below.